Hello fellow nerdmaids and nerdmaids-to-be. Today is the day where I finally review my Mermaid Amatheia silicone tail. So I still honestly can't believe that I am now a silicone mermaid tail owner. Obviously this is something that I've wanted for a while, for the last couple years. I've been debating on whether or not I even should get a silicone tail, and if I was to, where would I get one from? Because there's so many talented silicone tail makers, but they all have their pros and cons, and a lot of times the cons scared me off, like the wait times, the import fees, the controversy surrounding the tails, the price. And so I never really considered getting a silicone tail until maybe like year 5 or 6 or 7 of mermaiding. And then in late 2017, Amanda Eccleston popped onto the scene of the Mermaids of BC group. She's a very, very talented clay artist turned mermaid. And so she decided to make a silicone tail, and in October of 2017, I swam with her and saw that silicone tail and was like, holy crap, you're real good. Like, most people's first silicone tails kind of look bad. Hers did not look bad. And I was like, oh. And so she decided to take the leap and start making silicone tails, and she offered fellow mermaids of BC, I want to make a few tails before I open up my sales to the public. I'm hoping that I can make some for people in our pod. And I was like, that would be great, but I can't afford a silicone tail. And then in February she slid into my emails and was like, it'll only be $800 base price, and I was like, done. So I worked my butt off during spring break teaching swimming lessons and used all that money in a tax return. So I purchased it in March of 2018. I debated and went on and off of what the design should be, but ultimately it was very clear that it was going to be a galaxy design. So I ordered the tail, I paid it off in full in March. With all my fin upgrades, I got the Dynamine fins, the Seto fins on the ankle, and the Ploto dorsal, and a blended waist, and the Echo Fluke, which has my Finis Wave inside of it. Now this is a full silicone tail. Everything except for the monofin is silicone. So that is craziness. Absolute craziness. It came to like about 1,100 Canadian dollars. In total, that's how much I paid for this tail. Now this is not what her tails go for anymore. This was her, again, her starter offer. And so myself and Mermaid Kaida, Queen of the Dragonfishes, with her Queen Beta tail, and Mermaid Biosa with her Kaiko Orca tail, we formed the Finfluencer family, and we are the people that she first ever made silicone tails for. This review isn't for like a prototype, but the first gen of her silicone tails. So there's a few things that she's probably not going to repeat on any of her other tails that happened with my tail. And on July 22nd, 2018, I opened up this mermaid tail on our camping trip. And if you want to see the utter joy that happened, you can go click on my video. If you happen to have not seen it already, it's probably one of the favorite videos I did all last year.
Oh my god!
Wow!
Oh my god!
That's amazing.
I think it's an understatement to say that this tail brings me so much joy and happiness. It's just so beautiful. So I guess after a couple months, it's finally time to fill my promise and review this tail on its cosmetics, comfort, durability, customer service, and performance. So here we go! Now disclaimer, this is my first silicone tail that I'm reviewing, and the first time I've ordered something this expensive, and like one of the first tails that she's made, so this is my review. I hope it's an accurate representation of the tails then and her tails now, but let's just get on into it. So cosmetics, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I don't regret doing this design. It's a very beautiful design, but kind of basic, but oh my gosh, there's like some things I want to point out that I love. Number 1, the blended waist. In my photos, I never edit the blended waist, and on some it looks like I've completely edited it. To find it, what I did was I put a paint chip up to my tummy and then centered that paint chip. I absolutely love this like bright purple to dark indigo gradient. It's absolutely gorgeous. The way she did it with like, I think she used like 4 or 5 different pigments, and it just, it's so good. I only had one option for scales, the Stylus scales. They're a little big in my opinion, but I still think they look amazing. If you weren't aware, this is covered in hollow glitter. It's got like this nice scattered hollow with like tiny little flakes, and it's so pretty. I absolutely freaking love the dorsal fin. I think this is my favorite fin. It's so big, it looks amazing and epic, and I'm in love with it. The fluke is one of the smaller ones because I'm a small person, so I don't need a massive fluke. Like, this fluke is fairly huge on me to begin with. And my base clefs on the back portion here, you can't really see them all that well, but I wanted to incorporate them kind of as a homage to this tail and the Faith on the Base branding. Now, I think the one thing that I'm kind of like not super impressed with on the tail is just kind of the way she did the dotting. I'm not really happy with it. I think that it could have been done a little bit gentler and not as huge and dramatic and with varying amounts of dilution and stuff. It just looks like a little bit rough, but it was her first time. I'm pretty sure it was her first time doing more detailed work with an airbrush, so I'm not like gonna hold it against her, you know. And my design did like state for like dotting along the sides, but I still think it looks absolutely beautiful, and you can definitely tell that it's inspired by Galaxy. This paint here was supposed to be color shifting, but it doesn't show up all that well. Unfortunately, it looks more pearly than color shifting, which I think was kind of a disappointment to myself and her. We were like, wah. But okay, like all the painting aside, like her strong suit is her sculpt. She was a custom clay sculptor before, and so all the fins are beautiful. She cast her kind of like beta fins like these, completely 3D. These aren't two pieces glued together, it's one piece. And her fluke molds are so detailed and so beautiful. These are just absolutely gorgeous, and she has so many options of them too. You know, a lot of tail makers have their strong parts, and I think hers is definitely in her sculpts, and I can't wait to see other stuff that she comes up with. It was so hard deciding what fins to use. One thing that I was a little concerned about was kind of the seams. Not the outside seams, but the inside seams. They do look a little bit rougher, and the silicone is very thick, but I think that's better than thin silicone or silicone backed by neoprene. I'm actually very impressed with it, but if you look on the inside, it does look a little bit weird and rough and kind of oozy, so that was something that I was a little like, yikes about. I'm like, I don't know how good this is gonna hold up, but so far so good. But it was like a little bit alarming to me to kind of see like how rough the inside looks. But I mean, on the outside, it holds up great, and you can like not see the side seams at all, and it's like, yes. So for comfort, I'm giving this tail a 9 out of 10. Yes, I'm giving a silicone tail a 9 out of 10 for comfort. If you saw my monofin video, I love the Wave monofin so much, and it actually, like, it feels really great on my feet. Now, the one thing that's a little odd about this tail is that the monofin isn't sealed in. She didn't really have a good way to seal it in without making it, like, sandwich neoprene and floaty. But I can actually, like, pull the silicone apart, and it's, like, kind of like a pocket. So that's something that none of the other tails really do it, but because my monofin is so small and this fluke is so big, it kind of like balloons out, and so sometimes I did get like a weird sort of like stealing vacuum effect on the fluke when that would happen. So that's kind of like a bit of a weird blip in this tail, but still pretty good. This tail is very heavy. There's a reason why my alternate name for it is the Galactic Beast. It is humongous, so it's harder for me to swim in, but you know, I'm a strong swimmer. I can handle myself in a silicone tail. And I was actually able to do pretty much all the same stuff that I normally do, still go fairly fast, like very streamlined in this tail. You know, there's a reason why I didn't get like massive side fins or anything, because I want to go noom. So I'm able to lift it up over my head, which is actually amazing. I was very impressed with that, but the fluke is floppier. It's not stiff, it's floppy. There are drainage holes in the bottom of the fluke, so, and I didn't even notice them, but they do like bubble out and stuff. It took me a while to kind of figure out how to put on the tail and how to like make sure it like was sitting on me right, so it's still something that I'm new at, but in regards to like transitioning into a silicone tail, it's actually pretty good. I do sometimes get a little bit of pain on the tops of my feet from swimming in it, just because it is very heavy. So durability, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Now with silicone tails, you really can't judge that unless you've had the tail for over a year to kind of see how well it holds up. Obviously, because it's not fabric, it doesn't get as many dings and scratches as noticeably. It's silicone, but silicone is not indestructible. I did get some tears on my little Seto Hilo fins that she actually repaired for me for free, which is amazing. I did notice that the middle of my fluke does have a little bit of a tear here, which is a little sad, but it's still holding up well. I'm not even sure if there's been any spots where the paint has rubbed or chipped. I haven't given it like a super detailed like cross-examination with the first time I saw it, but honestly, like, it's good. It's holding up real well. Real well. Obviously, you know, you pay $1,000 for something, you want it to hold up. So I'm very happy with the durability of this tail. It is a very thick mold, so I'm not concerned about it ripping. The blended waist, it's very stretchy, and I don't feel like it is going to rip. So she knows how to construct blended waist. Mine was the first one that she did, so there are a few things that I'm like, what the heck, like this little part, but other than that, it's pretty good. Now for customer service, I'm clearly going to give this a 10 out of 10. I love Amanda. She's like She's so good. This is by far the best experience I ever could have had ordering a silicone tail. Amanda and I were already friends before. Through this whole process, I feel like we've bonded even more. I consider her to be one of my closest mermaids. I've said it before, she is the raven to my Reina. Yeah, this process could not have gone better. Ordering and sending her the money was hassle-free because she is fairly local to me. I was able to give her my duct tape dummy, my monofin. I think I had to mail her the paint chip of my waist, but like literally like, oh, and she gave this tail to me in person. So I didn't have any of those like crazy import fees or shipping problems or like that sort of anxiety that I had if I ordered a tail from like Mertailor or Finfolk or anything like that. I didn't get that. It was wonderful. It's like the best possible experience I could have had, and I love supporting local artists, and the fact that it was in Canadian, it was in my own currency, meant that I didn't have to pay for exchange rates. And Amanda truly goes above and beyond into giving her customers the best possible experience. We spent hours talking about painting, and she gave me feedback on the design and what she thought would look good. She added these little fins for free. Look how cute they are. I love them. Like I said earlier, she did repair the little tear in my Seto fins, and now I know to be a little more careful with them because they're delicate. And she was constantly giving me updates on the tail. I'll show some pictures of my update photos. She gave me a detailed care sheet, and like I truly feel like the luckiest mermaid to have ordered from her. For the performance, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Now, obviously with this being my first silicone tail, like things are trickier for me than someone who's a silicone tail veteran. I have swam in a silicone tail before though, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. It fits me perfectly, and I feel very safe in it. I'm able to get in and out. Well, in, not so much, but out, I'm able to get out of it very easily, and I can do pretty much all the same things that I do in my other tails. This thing weighs 35 pounds, so it is a chore to take to and from the pool or the beach or whatever. It is a chore to clean. It is a chore to put on. I gotta lube up my legs and suffer and everything, but once I get in the water, it does feel very good. I'm still learning on how to put it on the best way and like get it sitting right. There's one time where I put it on too low and it just wasn't fun. Once I've got it on, it's very hard to adjust, I've found, so I'm like, oh crap, it's too low. Oh well. I don't get ankle wrinkles. I barely get muffin top. Yes, it is good. But this thing is humongous and heavy, so it is tiresome to swim in. I do have very good swimming stamina and stuff, so I don't feel like I'm just kind of sitting there in my tail, not able to do anything because it's so huge. It just takes a little bit more energy to move through the water with this thing. You guys can be the judgmental pricks on the internet, but I feel like I do swim with proper technique in this tail, and I am able to lift this over my head, which is amazing. I was willing to sacrifice maybe a little bit more structure and propulsion for having just a monofin that I loved inside and not having to pay an extra $100 or so for one. And learning to take care of this tail is definitely a challenge compared to my other ones. It is a commitment, and a commitment that I was a little scared of. I am not fond of cleaning my silicone tail. I don't think I'm very good at it, and I'm always constantly afraid that it's gonna be moldy and stuff, and storing this thing is sucky, and you know, it's constantly getting fur and stuff all over it. The aftermath of swimming in a silicone tail is not the most joyous thing. It's worth it for the gram, you guys. Worth it for the gram. And I know I don't post enough in it. But all the hesitancies and fears I had about having a silicone tail have just been stripped away with how much this tail made my dreams come true. Besides the obvious feeling of having a silicone tail that makes me a real mermaid, I'm just so happy to be able to support an up-and-coming tail maker in my home province, and a very good friend of mine. I hope everyone who gets silicone tails from her is just as happy with theirs as I am with mine. So my total score for this review is 44 out of 50. That's an 88%. That's an A. I'd say that's an accurate grade for this tail. Again, this is one of the first tails she's ever made for someone other than herself, but her work truly does speak for herself and how good she is at sculpting and putting things together and making it work and making it not suck, and just all the care and love she pours into her tails and her creations clearly shows she's very talented and an absolute joy to work with. I'm sorry that this review took so long for me to produce and come out with. It's a little harder to be able to swim in this tail, especially with me leaving for months at a time on tour, and I can't take this with me. I'm gonna miss you so much, Galaxy. And of course I always want to be informed as much as possible when I make reviews, so of course I had to swim in this a bunch of different times to get the full experience, but If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already to see more of my face and all my other mermaid content. Hit that bell notification too because I premiere every time I upload a video. Comment below your favorite part of Galaxy and any other questions you have about this tale and I'd be happy to answer them. Check out her website for all the details on ordering tales and everything. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you later. Bye! I really do miss this tale. I miss it so much. I like watch videos of me and like cry while I'm on tour. But anyways.